We are now live. Guys, what's up, man? It's Jay Campbell from Fat Kid Over 40, and the author of the Definitive Testosterone Replacement Therapy Manual. And I am here with my good friends, Bryan Krahn, Alexander Juan Antonio Cortes, and Jim Brown. Guys, what's going on, man? Good to have you here today. How are you?
Very well.
Awesome, guys. So guys, we got a bunch of topics. The purpose of really this discussion today is kind of the year-end roundtable. And we wanted to bring up a bunch of kind of trending topics or relevant topics in the fitness, anti-aging, TRT, personal training, sports coaching. There's a million different topics we can go on in different directions, but that's the whole purpose of today. So let's just jump in here real quick, and I'm just going to throw a topic out there, and then I'm going to pick a guy to talk about it. But the first topic we have is TRT. Obviously, I've written a book. I don't need to talk very much about TRT, but I want you guys to kind of talk about it from a standpoint of there was a big article in, and I know you guys have all seen it, there was a big article in Men's Health on Saturday. I think, in my opinion, confusing the public more and more, especially men, who are looking to try to figure out what's legit and what isn't. And I wrote a blog kind of as a counterpoint blog to it. But what are your thoughts? I'll start with you, Bryan. What are your thoughts about TRT in the marketplace right now?
I thought in the marketplace, I think it's definitely it's definitely a great channel to be in, because I think it's just going to explode. It started already, but certainly when you get Men's Health running articles like that, even as kind of confusing as that article was, it's certainly going to create just a huge opportunity for people to both kind of do good care and also to really screw it up. So I think it's kind of at an interesting spot right now, and I think the next year or two. Well, Jay, you know better than I, but I think the next year or two will be really telling. There's going to be a lot of shysters coming out, and trying to capitalize on it further and further. Yeah. Just as an aside, I think we're going to see the industry kind of evolve. I think it's going to be less about boners and sexual performance. It's going to be a lot about guys getting their focus back and just being able to think better. I think that's going to be the next kind of marketing angle. But again, that's just me speaking as kind of a media.
No, I agree with you 100%. Alex, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, TRT. I don't know if you guys remember this from about 2 years ago when the idea of testosterone boosting diets became very popular. That was I want to say that was 2013, where everybody that had a space was promoting the testosterone workout, the testosterone plan, the testosterone way of eating, and I remember making fun at the time. It kind of just lulled away after a few months. But the general shift in health right now, I'm speaking from a medical perspective, is you're finally having some recognition that hormonal health really does matter as you age. That testosterone really does matter in regards to its, not just sexual benefits, but cognitive effects, just overall wellness. So, like Bryan was saying, I think you are going to see sort of maturation over this next year or so, where because TRT, and because, I guess, drug use and just the idea that people do go widely known by the public, there's going to be that initial backlash of this is bad, and it will be confusing. I think the overall trend is going to be pretty positive in the next, let's say, 1 to 5 years.
Agreed. Yeah, Jim, what about you? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's becoming more mainstream, more accepted. I know that you and I speak to a lot of the same type of guys who are at wit's end and truly in need of therapy, and once they have it, it really changes their life. And whether Men's Health was just trying to sell magazines and coming up with a controversial article or not, I think that those voices are going to be smaller and smaller as more and more guys get on it and realize it's not a performance enhancing type application.
Yeah. All you guys, I'll just finish with my thoughts are, I agree with everything you guys said. All of a sudden, very good. All of those were good, cogent points. I think it's about education now, right? There's enough doctors out there that are super progressive and understanding of how to treat patients, both male and female, and and the whole female route is going to get bigger and bigger now too, because women are starting to say, well, wait a minute, what about me? So I think it just becomes more and more better education for doctors. There's an opportunity for people, both non-medical and medical professionals to train doctors. I mean, Jim knows this. I think I told you this, Brian. I haven't talked to you, Alex, but I actually got a call from a member of the Pakistani royal family about 2.5 months ago, and they were like begging me to grab Nelson Burgle and bring some doctors, Dr. Osborne and others, over to Pakistan and train all their doctors. Like they own like 136 hospitals or something over there, and they're like, we're desperate. We have no clue. And the reality is you talk to more and more guys international, and I'm not saying North America, but mostly Western European and Asia. They have no doctors that are qualified in administering TRT. So you can imagine when you guys talk about, Brian, you talked about like how big this is going to get. I mean, can you imagine the global aspect or phenomenon of this as those doctors become more aware and more cognizant and more advanced as far as they're in understanding how to administer this. So, yeah, I see it as a huge market. It's only going to get bigger. I just, obviously those type of articles in Men's Health, I mean, I think they are clickbait articles. I think they are designed to get, create controversy. And at the end of the day, it's like, Nelson Burgle says, hey, what does Men's Health do? What do they sell? They sell test booster supplements, right? Yeah. So, of course, they're going to say what they're going to say. So, I think we can move on. So, the next topic I have in here is, I'm just going to jump all over the board. I'm going to go down to Jim had one, and it's if it fits your macros, like food, food versus like the type of food versus same calories with clean food. So in terms of body composition and health, like, give some examples. So, Jim, I know it's your topic, so I'll give you the first word.
This one drives me nuts. I hate this. To argue with somebody that if it fits your macros, let's just say that 2 Krispy Kremes equal, just make a number, 40 carbs, 10 grams of fat. That versus, whatever, 6 ounces of sweet potato and a tab of grass-fed butter. Okay, if the numbers match up, is it the same? No, it's not the fucking same. It's not, I mean, I'm so sick of this fucking discussion. No, it's not the same. If you're just counting calories to lose weight and not give a shit about body composition, great, go ahead and do it. If you're that type of person, man, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to argue with you, man, because you're out there, you're lost. But in terms of health and body composition, yeah, there's a major difference. You can't cheat it. That's it. That's it. I don't know what else to say. It drives me nuts. But vascular inflammation, insulin release, the whole bit. You guys know. Anyway,
Alex, what about Alex, you see people, you get these kind of questions from guys all the time. So what are your thoughts on it?
This is one of those things where it requires context. So like obviously, like I work at a facility where we work with general population. Yeah. The dietetics that we do with everybody is entirely if it fits your macros.
Right.
We do not assign meal in regards to what to eat. It's specifically, here are target numbers. You have to track everything that you eat, but you're working in the paradigm of those numbers. For the large majority of people, this will get them to about within, let's just say, 90% of whatever like an optimal or high level of definition is.
Right.
It then comes down to like a niche discussion of, okay, if you are looking for that 90 to 100% level of how you want your body to look, is it going to matter then? Yeah, it will. But relative to having 2 groups of people, one who are just concerned with moderate to very good health, and you have one group of people concerned with very good to extremely excellent how I look, and you're always going to have a mental clash because you're approaching from different perspectives. So.
Right. Yeah. Good points. What are your thoughts, Brian?
I just think it's a very I don't know what the word is, not pretentious or a vain way to look at food. Like to look at food as just its constituent macros and not anything else that it provides in terms of to use a blanket term, nutrition. It's just I guess it's a reductionist way to look at eating. So I always tell people, like, yeah, for losing weight, certainly it helps to know your macros, it helps to track your macros, but you have to develop a little bit more of a maturity when it comes to food and see it as more than just a source of energy. Like there's and just it just gets absurd after a while. Like to actually be comparing like a fucking donut to meat and vegetables. I mean, like, you know, even though, yeah, the constituent, you know, calories might be very similar. I mean, come on, man. There's more to life than just there's more to nutrition than just the energy balance. Like,
yeah, I think the best. All you guys' points are right. You know, Alex's comparison is exactly the truth. I mean, if you're working with somebody who's wanting to go on stage, you know, as a fitness competitor, man or woman, then of course it matters. I mean, let's not around. Let's not play games. But you're working with a general person, you know, a 30% body fat woman who's 50 years old and literally just wants to drop 3 dress sizes, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I do think, as Jim said, and you're perfectly alluding to, there is a health, you know, quantification here in that you shouldn't be eating fucking donuts, right?
Yeah.
I mean, a donut every now and then is okay when you're at your goal. But it's not something that, you know, in my opinion, that you should be training your body to be like, oh, well, I can eat a donut because it fits in that requirement.
Yeah, like, and if I could jump back in, like,
of course.
There's been this whole thing lately that there are no. We used to always be clean food, bad food, like when I was starting out.
Right.
You know, and now it's like, no, there are no bad foods. You know, there's just bad diets, and yeah, I get it, but you know, no, there are bad foods. There's fucking terrible foods. I'm sorry. It doesn't mean you can't eat them on occasion, but they're fucking terrible. So I think, you know, like...
No, you're 100% right. And, you know, I just did a podcast with Dennis Mangan of Rogue Health and Fitness. And, you know, Dennis is a brilliant guy. And that's the truth. You know, like, this is a perfect example of, like, why grazing is bad, you know, to seed to this is. And, again, it's about insulin sensitivity. There is bad foods. If you eat food that completely spikes your insulin completely out of control and sends you into a coma, you know, and then you know, your body gets used to processing that kind of shitty food, so that you're constantly yo-yoing, right? You've got a flood of insulin, you've got a withdrawal, you've got a flood. So, you know, you're damaging your signaling pathways, your insulin signaling pathways. You're destroying your insulin sensitivity. Well, then that's a joke. Yeah. I mean, you can't eat that kind of food. So you're absolutely right. But I mean, everybody's points are extremely salient. I mean, the truth is that a fat person can definitely eat, you know, in an if it fits your macros way to get into a level of lower body fat.
Yeah.
Anybody want to add anything to that?
I'll add. I think you have to think about this. Think about this from, I guess, almost like a clinical perspective. So just use the examples you guys are giving. So the clientele that we have, we use essentially fit your macros.
Right.
We give them free reign to eat, but they do have to track everything, and they also have to report to us. If they don't report, nothing happens. We need the data. What ends up happening is, if you view this on a continuum of, if I was to do dietary intervention on a large scale with people, what's the system I have to use? You have to create a caloric awareness first. Yes. What happens very rapidly is we'll have people where they go in, they're told, okay, you told me I can eat whatever I want, so I'll do that. They fuck up their results very fast because of the fact that if they go out and have, you know, I'll be very brush, like bacon, cheeseburger, and fries kind of thing. They go, they eat that from Burger King, they punch that in. Oh shit, I just used up 85% of my calories for the entire day. So, and this happens very frequently. We have people, we purposely essentially set up so people can fuck up, and then they realize after the fact that eating dirty doesn't make for a conducive long-term. They have to screw up first, though.
Right.
So in the end, everyone eventually transitions to clean food because of the fact that they realize that it's easy to both measure and be satiated by rice and chicken, or meat and vegetables. That's easy to manage, and it still allows them to maintain obviously fullness and all that stuff. But it doesn't happen initially. It happens over the course of like 3 to 4 months. So I mean, that model, I know that's not necessarily relevant to the more physique-minded populations. But if you're trying to create something that you could use like on a larger societal scale, it works really well.
Yeah, I would agree. Go ahead, Jim.
I agree with you. My specific point to that was it was people trying that are tracking the macros and trying to cheat the system. Right. But in terms of all of us helping people, yeah, absolutely. You have to. I mean, we all start people out, and I have to have the data to track. And then I think you're right that it eventually evolves into those people eating better foods. Yeah. And that's an essential tool to have.
No, that's all all those were really, really good points. For me, my biggest issue, Jim knows this, all of you guys know this, it's really, it's controlling, it's improving insulin sensitivity, and it's controlling your insulin signaling pathways. And, there's obviously medications you can take, metformin, we could talk about that if we wanted to, but, the truth is from a population-wide standpoint, Alex is dead on, but if you are somebody that's focused on getting into a single-digit body fat percentage, then yeah, it matters. So great points. I'm going to jump into the next topic, and I'm going to have Alex start. So I think this is an interesting topic. Especially it's relevant with all the people that are in our networks. We're constantly seeing this shit. So you guys, what's from a social media usage standpoint for guys like all of us? Like, what do you see, Alex? And I know you're really good on it, but what do you see as like, what to do and what not to do? Putting you on the spot.
This is an interesting question. So, I mean, to make a long story short, with my own career, I got myself popular by accident, and then I got myself more popular on purpose. I think, the worst thing you can do as a professional is to look at what everyone else is doing, and then try and copy it. Because by default, that which is most popular will always be mediocre, flat out.
Agreed.
It will be. Everyone, I can go into any niche of fitness and find people that are all. And I realized that when I first got on social media and started having people reach out to me, I would look around what everyone was doing, and everyone's looking around what everyone else is doing, and they're trying to align with each other that, oh, if you're doing the same thing, I'm doing the same thing, it must be good. And largely it's just a bunch of shit. People put out very redundant, recycled information that, and I can tell, especially with the online world, when you train somebody. I've been training clients every day for 7 years. I know within 5 seconds of talking to you if you ever worked with somebody in person, or just by the way you post. I know. I fucking know. So what I see constantly is this, like I said, this recycled form of information where they've read enough to sound somewhat technically knowledgeable on a topic. They have no sensibility of application at all. And the social media market in itself, you're trying to present an image of pseudo-expertise, and you're using recycled information that you've never worked with pragmatically, and then you're hoping that other people agree with you on it, and then it becomes this big circle jerk of like, so-and-so said that, I said that too, and
right.
You said that too, and that's just fucking this easy chain jerk-off of crap, of bullshit.
Yep.
And everyone gets, maybe moderately good results, and that becomes like, oh, that's how I market myself. I'm connecting my network and all stuff like. And you know what? I mean, personally, I can, and I'll say this from a standpoint of neutrality. Fuck everybody in this field. I don't care about any of you.
Right.
Truly, I'm trying to put out information for the sensibility that I hope somebody finds educational.
Right.
Because I realized early on with my own career, it's hard to find good people to connect, network, talk to, and learn from. That's what I'm putting out. I'm not concerned with the approval process of being vetted by people who I really have no idea what your actual qualifications are. And then hopefully online we think we see eye to eye.
Right.
So if I was to advise somebody, on the someone cut me off, please, because I'll keep going.
No, you're great. No, I wanted to just give Jim's I wanted to see what Jim thought about Jim, let's throw Dante out there. Dante he's obviously to all of us Dante is famous, right? But to Dante, to the fitness community, nobody knows who the fuck Dante is, right? Mm-hmm. But Dante's brilliant, and he writes. And Jim, I want your point on this in a second. But Dante writes to his Facebook fans, and he owns True Nutrition. And then he knows, all of us guys, insiders know him from different various boards that he's written on over the last 15 years. And by the way, prolifically. But nobody knows him in the quote-unquote fitness community because he's just chosen to, focus on his supplement business and whatever other route he's gone. But Jim, think about what are your thoughts on how he promotes himself versus a lot of the rest of these idiots?
Well, I think since people like him are moving away from posting on boards and just doing it on Facebook,
right?
And I think that those guys are hidden gems. For most people out there, they're just going to pass by him and not even and read them. So I don't know if that's good or bad. Maybe he'll find a few more people, but I'd certainly like it the way that it used to be. Where you can qualify the person that's doing the writing or who's on the board and know who he is and seeing that he's done this and this and it's not so washed out with all these 1,000 idiots that have been working out for 2 years.
Right.
I'm not a fan.
You're a good story. Real quick, Brian, you could jump in a second, but you're a good story yourself. You guys, Jim has taught me pretty much everything I've known for the last 20 years. I've learned so much from Jim, and Jim's always been that guy. No, I don't want I don't want anybody to know who I am.
Yep.
I don't want anybody to know me. I don't want to be publicized. I don't want I'm in the shadows guy. He's worked with a lot of people. He worked in a gym in Flagstaff, Arizona. He trained all kinds of Olympic caliber people. And, knows his shit.
I got 10 Facebook friends now.
So anyway, Brian, jump in here. But yeah, it's interesting. This is an interesting topic today because there's a lot of people out there that have literally, as Alex said, 1 million friends on their fan page. And I'm not going to name anybody's names, but if you actually talk to these people in person, you're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, it's almost like an inverse correlation. The more friends you have on Facebook, the less you actually know, and it's certainly the less in the gym experience with real live human beings that you have. It's kind of it can be really disheartening. Certainly there are exceptions, but you can probably count them on one hand, even if you're missing a few digits. Yeah, I always see social media as kind of a necessary evil. You have to have a presence of some kind, even if you're not mixing it up in every fucking conversation, and you just always got to kind of be on the radar, so to speak. I'm probably the worst person to ask about being successful. You have to track it, and I never track it, which is kind of bad, but that's probably the important thing. But for me, I really think that at the end of the day, you have to put out a consistent message, consistent with your own personality. Otherwise, people will just inherently sniff it out eventually. And you can just see the way people will evolve their brand. That there's just not a lot of genuine messages being put out, so people are evolving all the time. So I don't know. It's interesting. What's worked for me is just sounds cheesy, but just being myself. I put pictures of my fucking dog. It's just, but that's what kind of translates, and that's because it's real.
Well, I see you and Alex very similar. You guys are both you're both professional writers, period.
Well, yeah, that does help, yeah.
Well, no, it's like Alex said, he can meet somebody in 5 minutes, or 5 seconds in person and know, everything there is to know about them, relative to what, you're trying to grade them on. But I think you hit the nail on the head. You be yourself, okay? Yeah. Tracking and all these analytics and all this bullshit, this shit becomes so overwhelming. I'll put my marketing hat on. I'll put my marketing hat on right now, for the real estate stuff that I do, and it's I sometimes literally like 2 days ago, every year at this time of the year I try to do an analysis of where we're at, where we're going, and I'm not kidding you guys. We have gotten to a point in social media, you cannot keep track of any of this shit. It's so fucking overwhelming. There's so many outlets, there's so many avenues, there's so many info marketers that reach out to us on a daily basis. I got the newest, shiniest widget that it's impossible to even track and comprehend. I can't think of the guy's name, but he's a famous blogger. I want to say it's Seth Godin, one of those guys. He just did an article, and it was an op-ed piece in the New York Times, and he was talking about the same thing. He was like, there's no possible way that any human being, no matter how organized, can keep up with everything today.
No,
if you're one of those guys that's trying to keep your life dialed in from a social media, digital technology perspective, you will literally put a gun to your head.
Yeah.
Right? It's impossible.
Yeah.
So all you can really do is what you guys already said, which is be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Not worry about, oh my God, am I posting enough on Twitter? Am I putting enough, viral video on Facebook? Am I uploading to YouTube? If you constantly focus on all that shit, you're going to go insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, it's the idea, like the idea of like social media marketing, or like I'm a social media marketing analyst or expert. Like I always crack up with those guys, is the fact that because there's so many different avenues of communication, since fundamentally, what is social media? It's the ability to talk to people.
Right.
That's all it is. If you are a person, let's say you are a good person, you are good at what you do, you have a concentrated message, you are at least come across as being genuine, you'll probably find some success if you communicate enough. The idea that you're going to quantify all that, it's going to mean something, it's quantification without qualification.
Yeah.
And I can be like, okay, so I've tweeted out this many times. I mean, and I work with ATS, so I'll disclosure, non-disclosure, like, yeah, I've talked with Dave. We've tried to track that kind of stuff of, well, this post at this time, and if I time it this way, and these topics, there is no pattern to any of it. The only thing that is ever significant is that you find out that people, one, they like cheap, cheesy stuff oftentimes with viral content, but that's really meaningless in regards to providing value. The second thing being, it's 50-50 hit and miss, that you could write something, post something, and you think it's the greatest shit ever. Nobody cares.
Exactly.
You know, like, I mean, like the stuff like, I talk a lot about training women. That's been really popular because people care about that topic. You know, I've posted, I find it interesting, people don't care. I had a whole summer series where I just talked about sex for 3 months straight.
Right.
That was freakishly popular. I had no idea. There's an article that I shared once. I came back a few hours later. Oh, there's like 100 comments on this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You know, oh, I got emails about, you know, someone wanting to talk to me about business, you know, consultation, whatever. That was entirely unexpected. You know, how do I quantify that? Yeah.
Yeah. No. Well said. I'll unless you want to add something, Brian, real quick. The only thing I want to say, and then we'll jump to another topic, and I'll leave it with you, Brian, is you know, the easiest way about social media is the same way that we look at writing, right? Like you have to write for a 7th grade audience level. That's, if you're going to connect with the average person in society, regardless of what the niche is, you have to write at a level that is relatable, right?
Yeah.
And I think you just said it exactly right, you know, Alex. You write something that, you know, none of us really are like too seriously interested in, you know, from our individual, you know, unique life perspective. But the average person is like, holy shit, you know, I can see this, or I feel this. So go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I was trying to think of the most important thing, and you just nailed it, is that I think a lot of people, especially in the fitness world on social media, they're constantly writing for the approval of their peers. And they completely neglect the 99.9% of the people out there who are just reading it, and who are, and most importantly, will be their customers, because fuck, like, Alex is never going to buy shit off of me, you know. So I mean, if you're in this to make money, you have to write to your consumer, not to your friends and your peers. I mean, obviously, we all want approval.
That's absolutely true, Brian.
Yeah. We all want approval. We all want our friends to say, "Hey, man, that was really good." But at the end of the day, you want to connect with that end user. You want to connect with that 40-year-old guy or girl who has a job and 2.5 kids and a fucking mortgage, and has an hour every other day to devote to exercise. So,
right. 100%. Anything you guys want to add? I'll jump in and stop it. Okay, good. All right, so this topic is I'm gonna lead off with you, Brian. So the topic is popular fitness versus trainer fitness, and this is Alex's topic, but I'm gonna lead with you, Brian. What are your thoughts on that?
Popular fitness versus trainer fitness. I had a real kind of slap in the face when I moved back to Canada, and I was legal again to work, and I started working with actual real life clients again after a 2-year hiatus, and it just made me realize what is actually important and what is really just minutia and trivia. So I mean, I think again, I'm yelling at fitness pros, like, they're always writing about what's cool and what's innovative and what's fucking sexy, I guess. I don't know, but what should be popular again are just the basics, like just basic movement patterns and just consistency. Fuck, that is the most important thing. If you do a shitty program, but you do it consistently, you're gonna do okay. Right. If you have the absolute best fucking program, handed down to you from the ghost of Bill Pearl. Well, actually, Bill Pearl's still alive, but whatever. It's And you do it for 2 days.
Probably got a couple of ghosts, actually.
No disrespect to Bill. I love you, Bill. I got your book right here.
Dude, I love it, man. You know, I always show that book. Right back there.
Mine is signed. Bill signed it. Anyway, if you do it and it's the most awesomest program, you do it for 3 days and you quit because it's not interesting to you or whatever, that sucks. You know, so I think the most important thing that we can focus on is just getting people consistent, doing a few things consistently, and then adding another thing, and then adding another thing. Like that's, to me, that's my rant. Yeah.
Awesome, Alex, it's your topic. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I would disagree. The thing that I've realized over the years of working with clients, and then obviously being online and then communicating with the industry at large, is I told my the position I have now, I'm training trainers while also hiring people. I've told my staff this: any information that you decide you want to learn, I want to learn stuff. Okay, you have to do so within the paradigm of, does this matter to the actual people I am working with? Or even like more shallow than that, but the people that are paying me money, do they give a shit about this?
Yeah.
Do they actually care? And for the majority of us, and guess what? You can think like, oh yeah, well, an IFBB pro is going to care. IFBB pros don't fucking care. I've worked with those motherfuckers. What do they care about? Send me, what's my drug schedule? Send me my diet. I got this program, bro. This is great. They don't want to know the scientific minutiae. It doesn't really matter, truly. It's cool to know. Same thing with whether it's a housewife. I trained a group of women this morning, completely just wrecked their souls. It was last workout of the year. They wanted to go hard. Great. They're lying there, and we're making the best workouts you ever had. So ones just make your abs just fucking hurt.
Right.
And that session is about that's like what? So that cumulatively represents like a couple $100 they're paying for that session. What did they want? They wanted their ass and their abs to be really sore afterwards.
Right.
So if I want to talk about contralateral, PRI, breathing, diaphragmatic activation of the deep core muscles and all that shit, they don't care. No. They'll care in the context they think it's cool that I know that, so I'll increase my value. Relative to the actual, that's not really improving anyone's performance at all. Not unless I can really, really, really break it down, make it relevant. So, but unfortunately, that's trainer fitness. So it's this obsession over essentially this higher level details that no one truly has the education to really understand. That's why I fucking hate studies so much. 99% of people in this field, they don't have PhDs. They've never worked in a lab. They don't know a fucking pipette from a goddamn plunger, but they think they're qualified to read a scientific paper that was written and that they're gonna extrapolate useful information from it. No, you're fucking not. Bullshit. You don't even know the fucking metric system. Tell me how many ounces 1,000 milliliters is. I'll fucking wait. I'll wait. But you're gonna go read some shit about a muscle biopsy study? Go fuck yourself.
Right.
So yeah.
That was a really good rant, dude. Mad props. Jim, what are your thoughts on that?
What was the question again?
I'm just going to get my door. 1 sec.
Popular fitness versus trainer fitness.
Oh, man. There's a popular fitness meaning, I guess, everything that the newest workout or the newest trend. I think a lot of that stuff isn't applicable to anyone. Like these guys said, my biggest concern when I'm helping somebody or evaluating where they're at is, are they going out of their comfort zone? I mean, it's that simple. Have they been doing the same thing for years on end? It seems to be simple to me. I don't put too much into all the popular trends. I like to learn about them. I like to read about them. Maybe I try a new move out. Maybe I try a new rep scheme out. But I've discovered where it works for me and the application that I use it in. That's what I stick with. Of course, when you're training different athletes or whatever, yeah, you have to go out of your wheelhouse and learn new stuff. But I don't know. There's so much shit out there now on the web that, the hammer and chisel or the fucking new Shakeology workout of the week, it's all the same shit.
No, I mean, the only thing I'll say, I'll jump into another topic here. I'm going to give it to you, Jim. Again, it becomes overwhelming. The reality is if you're working with a person, whatever their population is, whatever modality you're using to train them, it's all about result. It's exactly like Alex said. As long as they go home and they feel like their abs and their ass, their glutes have been torched, that you're successful to them. So it's creating in their minds, your client, that this is productive. I mean, yeah, it's great to know these things and stuff like that, but when you're actually going to explain them in the context of training them, they don't give a shit. It's exactly as Alex said. So I'm gonna jump into another topic here real quick. And this was Alex's topic, but Jim, it's perfect for you. It's right in your wheelhouse. Aging male population and how their needs change with age. So again, I think you can apply this to hormones, their anatomy and biology changing, and then of course how do you change their training?
Well, speaking for myself, because I'm starting to be an old man now, I mean, I notice that my recovery is constantly changing. I have to adjust my training, my eating, my rest, my hormones, my supplements to accommodate, even close to the same level of training that I've had over the years. And I think that's, probably some of the main things to consider, when you're talking about an aging guy. We talk about it all the time, supplement, training, and hormone levels. I mean, I think those become even more important, and you have less of a leeway as you get older. You have to pay attention more.
Do you think that men, as they're aging, need to train less, or they just need to change like intensity, or they vary all those variables? What are your thoughts?
Well, it's individualistic. It depends where you're at. I guess yes on all of those. I've been able to train intensely, but I need more rest time and my recovery's slower in between workouts. I think that everybody's going to face that as you get older. I mean, no matter what tweaks and cheats you have or whatever level athlete you are, you're going to experience that. And I think that, it's just using whatever you can to shorten that and improve those factors and to continue to train.
Right. Bryan, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree definitely that it's definitely an individual thing. I mean, like the old adage that it's volume that burns people out more so than intensity. I'm not sure if I agree with that. Like, I mean, I hate to just use myself as an example, but I do find that I can really push the envelope volume-wise, even as I'm over 40 now. But it's just when the intensity gets a little too high, and I'm consistently doing singles and doubles and triples, that's when everything seems to fall apart. Not just not just like my getting injured and stuff, but like sleep patterns and stuff like that. But I also think the biggest thing is just consistency. Like if you can get, as a guy gets older, I find there's more demands on their time, and they're not able to be as consistent, like have that robot kind of lifestyle, and that is just huge. If you can maintain some semblance of like same bedtime, same rise, same training time, blah blah blah, I find that that's such a huge thing if you can maintain that as you get older.
So right now, before you jump in, Alex. Both of you guys. I mean, obviously, Alex is the young buck here, the young lion. But
yeah.
all three of us are in our 40s, so we're all faced with this exact situation. Are you guys? I mean, I kind of know how Jim trains. Bryan, how many days out of 7 a week do you typically train?
Well, I push. Like I'm always I was always a 4 days a week guy in my 30s, but now I do 5. And I've recovered just fine. But the biggest thing is that I don't do a lot of the stupid shit that I used to do. Like if a movement doesn't work for me, and when I say work, not just pain, like if I'm not feeling it in the intended muscle group, it's gone. Like I do something else. I never force things anymore.
Right.
I rarely go for PRs.
Right.
I chase volume. I chase a training experience much more than I chase my logbook.
Right.
So I found that's really helpful to me, and I could probably get away with 6 days a week, but it's, I also have the luxury of working mainly out of home, and we don't have children yet, so that's a couple of big things in my favor. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't buy into this as soon as you turn 40, you got to train fucking 3 days a week and do all these fucking mobility drills till you're blue in the face. I don't buy into that. It all depends where you're coming from. Like we're all, we've all had a lifetime of fitness basically, so we're coming into 40 at a much better place than someone who just decides, oh, I gotta start this working out stuff,
Right. Alex, what are your thoughts, youngster?
The reason I bring this up is I got injured really young. So I was 18. I ruptured my hamstring tendon in my left leg, just popped it off. And then a year later, I broke the foot in the left leg. So I was put in a unique situation where I had injuries. I basically had to sort of train like an old guy. Since when I was trying to recover, I would like the thing. If you ever look at rehab recovery, it's all written by older dudes that have hurt themselves.
Right, exactly.
You won't find anything by 20-year-old. You find stuff like guys that are 35, 40, 50, where now that I've aged and I've gotten hurt, I have to do things differently.
Right.
So it gave me a much more longevity perspective on, okay, what am I doing right now that's dumb, and what am I doing right now that I can still substantially do 20 years from now, so it makes me progress. Guys as they age.
Whose dog is that?
I hear the dog in the background.
That's not mine.
Is that a dog?
No.
What the hell is that sound? We got like some sort of weird background noise. You guys hear that?
I got a bulldog, man. They don't bark.
No, I think that's my grandson upstairs.
Oh,
Patting on the floor.
Alex, go ahead, continue. Sorry about that.
All right. Yeah. No, that's all right. Anyway, so I realize for guys when you're working with them as they age, it's different populations. You have guys who've been training their whole life and they just want to train smart. You have guys they've never trained at all and they actually might need the mobility, all that kind of stuff. But in regards to volume and intensity, as I've talked to, but the intensity factor really comes into play because you have peripheral recovery, which these days the muscles getting tired. Then you have that deep systemic recovery where you went for those lower rep sets and just really, and that takes a while to bounce back from. So the work factor, like with age, that if I'm 45, I'm not going to be as strong as I was when I was 30. Do I need to hit a 3-rep PR on this movement?
Yeah.
What for?
Right.
And I coming from a powerlifting company where I know a lot of guys that are your age where they're still trying to do that. They just end up just hurting themselves over and over, and it becomes an ego. It becomes an ego factor.
Right.
You want to still be strong within that rep range, so you're going to keep chasing it at the cost of your long-term health and really quality of life overall. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'll finish with my thoughts. I agree with Bryan. Of course, I agree with Jim. Jim is strong. Jim is an animal, very, very strong dude. But he trains, and I actually follow a lot of what he does. I was training last year with a 3-day-a-week, like a Dr. Osborne, a strength training paradigm protocol, where I was doing deads. I got back into doing full body barbell squats, which I hadn't done in a long time because I had low back injuries and whatnot. But I'm with you, Bryan. You can pretty much do whatever, even in your 40s. You definitely have to be very, 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 very noticeable when you start getting hurt or when you start, getting like that tweaky feeling in certain areas of your body, so that you stop doing movements that could lead to further injury. Because there's no question that the biggest problem that guys have in their 40s is, or issue potentially, is avoiding injuries, right? Yeah. Because if you get hurt when you're in your 40s, you're done. 6 months. Yeah. Right.
Jail.
Like, 6 months. Right. Right, like you could talk about just tearing your bicep, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. Don't take up MMA when you're 40, but I spend more time now than I ever have on mobility work. I started with Kelly Starrett doing the mobility WOD, and I spend a huge amount of time comparatively, going through my whole body and trying to bulletproof it. And in the longer years, it's made a massive difference. And that's one of the strategies that I use to try to keep myself going at a semi-decent level, into the mid-40s. So I think all those things have to be used and considered.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, Jim, I'm going to throw one of your topics in there. So you have the secret to achieving your dream body.
Oh, good.
It's so simple, but yet most people don't believe you or deny the truth because hot pockets are so damn good. So you want to expound on that?
Yeah, man. Of course, you guys get the same thing. How many times have you been asked by family members, friends, acquaintances, work people, whatever, oh, what do I eat? What's this? And clients paying you and all that stuff. And it really is I think, as simple as, and I think Bryan touched on this too, is looking at food differently. But I always tell people, if God didn't make it, don't fucking eat it, with the exception of whey protein. And if you do that, everything's going to happen for you. You don't really, I mean, of course you're going to have to count at some point, count a calorie, but, just the people that I can get to switch over just to whole food as a source of everything, I mean, their lives change, and nobody wants to hear it. It's just my experience. I don't know what your guys' is, but nobody wants to hear the truth. You go to the gym and you work out hard and you fucking eat real food. That's it.
It's truly sad that we do live in a society, and you guys know this, that people definitely want to be lied to. Mike Cernovich wrote a great blog about 2 months ago that, telling the truth does not sell tickets. It does not sell webinars. It does not sell, anything. I mean, the truth is that most people do want to be lied to, and they want the quickest fix, the most instant gratification that they can have. And let me just add one more thing to what you just said, and then you guys can jump in, either one of you. I don't care. I'll pick Bryan first. Giving Brett some props about something he did a year ago that we talked about. He calls it the Dr. Osborne rules, right? Like, you can take a 30% body fat man or woman, and you can have them for 60 days stop eating, as simple as this, stop eating carbs at 6 o'clock and take 500 milligrams of metformin AM and PM, and they'll drop 10% body fat in 60 days. Now think about how simple that is, right, for the average guy or girl to follow. You don't have to be doing your, if it fits your macros, or, how many grams of protein did you eat, and how much cardio did you do. Just follow those rules for 60 days and watch what happens. Now, it's like you said, Jim, I mean, how many people, though, realistically will stop eating carbs after 6 o'clock for 60 days? Exactly. So the truth is whatever, it goes back to the first topic, what Alex was talking about with if it fits your macros, the reality is we have to get our clients or the people that are following us, if they're going to have results, they've got to do something that they are going to actually follow through on. Bryan, go ahead. You have the next. You have the next statement.
Well, yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, and yeah, people do want to be lied to because they always assume that it's something that they're not doing, that they haven't been exposed to, like some fucking secret that, because everything else they've tried hasn't worked, so it must be something that they haven't done yet. Because what really the answer is just doing what they've already been told to do, reasonably consistently. Not even doing everything, just doing a handful of things consistently, and that will kind of get the inertia and get the progress going. So and that's what drives this whole industry, is this quest for the next secret,
Right.
So it's kind of unfortunate. It can make it a depressing industry to work in, but But yeah, I mean, that when I work with people, I mean, that's the first thing I do is just try to find something that they can be successful at, whether it's whether it's cutting off carbs, exactly. If that's something that they can wrap their head around, even if it's not the only answer to their problem, if it's something that they can wrap around and do it consistently, like, that's where I start, and that's what will give results.
Alex, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I should guard into people wanting the end goal to happen. I always use the meta point of just the time factor. Society at large, the idea of ritualization and process is completely lost on people.
Yeah.
So I mean, to use a simple analogy, if football game, fourth quarter, your team wins in the last minute. Did you win within that minute, or did you win because of what you did the 4 quarters preceding it? Same thing with getting a degree. Same thing with any kind of training that results in you becoming good at something or having a very large reward-based outcome. It's because that there was a domain of time that took place and things happened within that period of time. That's why you got there. And trying to explain that to people, or just have people that have the awareness of things take ritualization, they take process forming, they take repetition, and that what you desire, the state that you desire to achieve is going to be based upon a process of getting there. I mean, that's very universally applicable, but but relative to physical health, wellness, cosmetically what you look like, nobody wants to hear that. And I don't even know if it's more so because I want you to lie to me. No one wants to evaluate their time that way. You know, it's ironic. You know, people obviously desire to have things, but when you talk about, okay, if you want to have those things, that requires a certain investment of time. Oh shit! You know, now then everyone's like, you know, no one wants to hear it. I don't know whether that's societal, or you could say because of the way kids are raised, the way school is, or just, you know, people want instantaneous gratification. But I realize that at large, most people don't assign time valuation to their lives in any manner. Everything is kind of done by accident, and hopefully it works out. You know, and then there's a reason why most people never really reach their goals relative to anything. So I mean, if that makes sense. But
No. It's incredibly well said. I agree 100%. I mean, I don't know what the answer is, though, because I'm with you. You know, I've got kids now. So, you know, Jim has kids. I don't know. I mean, my stepson, Monica's son, Evan, is 19, and he's brilliant, and he is a video gamer. You know, and you know, all of his friends are video gamers, and most of the kids that age are video gamers. So we could go on and on about what's happening with young men. I mean, obviously, I write about the book. I mean, you guys are very aware of it. I mean, they're becoming more and more emasculated. They have less drive, less energy. They're bright. They're brilliant. They can harness and manipulate data from being on the internet and having technology their whole lives. They're so immersed in it, but they don't have drive. They don't have passion. They can't communicate face to face. And is that a byproduct of the world that we live in now, or is that a hormonal issue because their sperm count and their testosterone is naturally being suppressed, so they become less man? I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of points in between, but I just know that people definitely are tuned out, as you said, Alex, when you tell them that this isn't something they can have in a week. You know? It's like I always say, like these young boys and girls too, because a lot of them play games. They have a reset mentality. Oh shit, it's getting tough.
That's
yeah. Turn it off. I'll start it over. So it's like
that's a really good point.
Yeah, it's like really, really hard to get through to a lot of these younger kids today. That hey, this does require work. This requires effort. This requires time. There's no instantly this is going to happen where you're going to be qualified to make X number of dollars a month. You know. So anybody else want to add in before I change points?
Well, that's really good. I just think that this you mentioned what's the cause of this? Is it video games? Is it low T? Is it this? Is it environmental estrogens? Is it all I know is that a good friend of mine is a psychologist, and he sees social media. And this is the biggest experiment that's ever been conducted on a population. They have no idea what the ramifications are going to be in 20 years of having all these kids being so connected. It's like, fuck, when we grew up, we weren't this connected. I mean, you played with your friends, then you went home and you did your own thing. But now everyone is connected constantly, literally 24 hours a day through these formative years. So really, like, what the next 20 years will be like, he doesn't have a fucking clue, and so it's kind of a scary experiment that's being conducted right now. So.
I think we can all agree that it's not going to be good. I mean, literally, Jim. Yeah, I mean, Jim turned me on. By the way, guys, we can talk about it. The Lance Armstrong podcast with Joe Rogan is absolutely fucking amazing. I mean, you guys got to listen to that. But they were talking just to what you just said, Brian. They were talking about at a various point in the podcast about how addicted all of us are to our fucking cell phones, and how like if you go in, like they were talking about how they're in that podcast together and neither of them have their phones, and they'll find themselves like every 2 minutes like going, where the fuck is my phone? Right? Like, oh my God, did I leave my phone in the car? I mean, where's my phone? So yeah, I mean, there's all of us, not just the kids. We're talking about the young boys or girls growing up, but all of us are now somehow connected in this weird way with technology that is definitely affecting us physiologically. And I don't think any of us truly know what the end game is. I mean, we could talk about the transhumanism stuff, but it's crazy, dude. I mean, it's definitely a weird time to be living. That's for sure.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. All right, let me jump in here. I'll grab another topic. I like this one. So intermittent fasting is becoming big. You know, there's a lot of people. I don't know if you guys saw that show on BBC where that doctor in England did, you know, like 3 years of study. You know, Dr. Osborne is now all into intermittent fasting. Jim and I were talking about intermittent fasting to him a year ago, and he wasn't so much into it. But now this doctor did all the studies on it, and you know, it's becoming like in vogue now. And obviously, there's been people, Martin Burkhan's with Lean Gains and all those other guys that have been talking about it for a long time. But what are your guys' thoughts on intermittent fasting now? Where it's going? You know, the simplicity of it, and I guess just our thoughts on it. Jim, I'll start with you.
You know, for what I do specifically, I don't incorporate it a lot, but I think that it's very valuable for a lot of people. It makes their schedule a lot easier. I think health-wise, there's all kinds of reasons to do it. You know, it really depends, like we've all said, what your goals are and where you're at. You know, I think it's a useful tool. You know, a lot of people like it. I'm a fan of it, but like I said, for what I specifically do, I don't fast very long, but you know, I certainly see the merit in it.
Alex, what are your thoughts on
it? You know, I've honestly, God, I've never found it. It's one of those things I find interesting, but I think not so useful for the majority of people. Just for reason being that it's going to appeal to a certain percentage of the population, where they can, you know, they can go without eating for a certain period of time. They don't have to worry about their food for this amount of hours. So it's simplistic in that fashion. Relative to the general population, I don't see how it really applies to anybody, simply because their issues go beyond just when they're eating, how much they're eating. Relative to maintaining body composition and all that, I view it as sort of it's farther down the continuum.
Right.
Where if you've reached, let's just say, a satisfactory level of physique development, your lifestyle as a whole is fairly dialed in. I can see where, I definitely know people they effectivize it that way. If you're not at that point, though, it's going to be one of those, I don't even want to say tools. It's going to be one of those tools where you utilize it, but it will be for no far greater magnitude of effect than had you just eaten normally and trained normally.
Right.
So you always have to put in context.
Yeah, Brian, go ahead. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I really just want to echo what Jim said. And you know, when I get a client and they're adamant that they have to eat, they must eat big meals at night, that relaxes them, that makes them feel good, yada yada. It's what they're used to. Then I think it's a fantastic tool because it doesn't mess up with their lifestyle. And it, again, goes back to consistency. It allows them to be consistent. Where I take issue with is when people try to use it as, like the handyman who only has a screwdriver in his toolbox. Right. Oh, I want to get big. How do I use intermittent fasting to get big? And I'm like, well, what the fuck? Well, are you like that? That's not the right tool. It's not the right application. So, and that's where I kind of take shots at the movement. But like, as a specific tool, in a specific context, I think it's great.
Right. Yeah. So I'll just finish. We'll jump into another topic. I agree with Alex. Again, it's a population model. If you are a dialed-in motherfucker, I think intermittent fasting, for periods, is amazing. And I'll apply it to like me, right? Like, I did the photo shoot for Iron Man in November, or it was the end of October, and then we did body painting, and then I met Jim in Vegas, and we did body painting, and then after that, I went to Mike's wedding in Mexico, and up until Saturday, I fucking ate whatever. I was on a seafood diet, man. I mean, you can see I still have carb base. I mean, I was eating whatever I fucking could, right? So, I was single-digit body fat, so am I at 10, 11%? Probably that's where I'm at right now. But, like, I can now take intermittent fasting, which I started on Saturday, and my intermittent fasting is various, from a standpoint of, like, on my non-training days, I fast. I'll fast 16 hours, right? But on my training days, I'm going to, of course, eat carbs and food. But you can definitely apply the model of, and again, tweak it individually for your own needs, and based on your training schedule and your lifestyle. But you can apply that model for periods of 10 to 14 to 21 days, and absolutely drop 3 to 4% body fat. For guys like us, fitness people who never really go that high anyway. We stay close to single digits. At least we better. Hopefully, if we want to be real, considered legit. It works. It absolutely fucking works. I'll debate anyone. You can throw in, meds like metformin or real low dose Armour thyroid. Depending on if you have a script from a doctor. Hopefully you do. And it's a great tool. But again, it's like you guys all said, it's a tool. It's not it's not something you completely build your entire life around.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta send him. Alex got dropped off. Let me just send him a link real quick. Go ahead though. One of you guys, if you want to finish before I change the topic.
I'll just add in. I mean, I think that like for you, Jay, or the way that we use metformin, you know, if you go into your nighttime fast, relatively low carb environment, you're taking metformin and your overall blood circulating glucose over the fast is going to be lower than it was without metformin. Yeah, very effective. I think the longer you can fast, the better for losing fat. But make no mistake, that's not an environment where you're going to, really supporting muscle, a muscle sparing environment if you're working out, and you're certainly not going to gain any. So let's be clear about that.
Yeah.
It's not going to, this Wolverine went on when that first hit, I forgot what magazine, but, for his role as Wolverine, he was intermittent fasting and put on 20 pounds of muscle. Come on, give me a fucking break.
Yeah. With like 500 milligrams of Tren.
Wow.
So it's just like we say, Jim. With SOAR, you're either catabolic, meaning you're losing fat and a little bit of muscle, hopefully not much, or you're anabolic and you're gaining muscle and gaining fat. There is no in between. Anybody who wants to say that there's, there is full of shit. What's up, Alex? Alex is back on. No problem on getting dropped off. We're still on the same topic on intermittent fasting, but the reality is that this bullshit that guys think and is propagated in the fitness world and culture, and I don't even care if you're a newbie, who's a mutant mesomorph too. It's not going to happen. You're not going to gain muscle without gaining some fat because you have to be in an anabolic state from a food consumption standpoint, period. You're not, no matter how genetically mutant you are, you're still going to gain some fat when you gain muscle. Just as when you lose body fat, you are also going to lose some muscle, hopefully minimally, a minimal amount, but it's going to happen. This belief that we have in our culture, and again, it's like a mythos, is, oh God, you could put on 25 pounds of muscle and not gain any fat, or even lean out, like Jim says. And again, it's the magazine culture. It's just the bullshit, that is continually propagated. But I think if there's a message here for everybody that watches this, and I'm hopeful that a lot of people are going to see this, is you're gaining muscle, you're gaining fat, or you're losing fat and losing a little bit of muscle, period. End of story.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's always those. It's like this industry loves to take the one exception out of millions of cases, and then now that's the rule. Like there'll be that one guy who comes back from a long layoff and goes on a very impressive anabolic program, right? And he might have this recomposition effect, but okay, then now it's possible. That's what that's how it should be for everyone, right? And it's just and it's just not the case. I mean.
Well, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Everybody wants the new thing that works, or the secret,
The hack, the life hack. All right. This is one of Alex's points, so I'm gonna start with Alex on this, and but we got like about 20 minutes, and then we're gonna shut it down. But I want to save like the last 5 minutes for everybody to talk about where they can be found and promote whatever they're doing for 2016. But why strength chasing is a null game to play, and then I want you to combine that point with why bodybuilding is never going out of style.
Yeah, so strength chasing, I guess I could always put stuff in context. I work for the FTS. They're all powerlifters. Everyone is world class. The majority of people, and even I mean people, I don't mean general population. I mean the majority of people who want to have an amazing physique, amazing level of health. The paradigm that powerlifting has perpetuated, where you chase 3 numbers on 3 lifts, and if that indicates to you some like amazing level of development, it's just false. If you are someone that is strength inclined, where you are naturally a really strong guy by default, and you find out that you're the guy that you went to the gym and you bench pressed 275, 315 when you were 16, and obviously like you're good at bench pressing, or you pulled or deadlifted, you deadlifted or squat a lot. Like, yeah, it's going to appeal to you because it's appealing to what you're good at. The majority of people that want to just look really, really, really fucking good, whether they be a bodybuilder that wants to compete or just, regular person, they're better off just building as much muscle as they possibly can. And that doesn't mandate that you constantly test out 1 3-rep maxes year-round. I've seen that happen, especially with the training industry, where this idea of like strength training for fat loss and strength training for body recomposition, strength training for bodybuilding, everything's about strength training. And then you look at these people that are promoting this and like, you don't look that great. I can show you a bunch of guys that can squat 100 pounds. They really don't look that great. They're basically just white sumo wrestlers, okay? But that's promoting for the be-all, end-all of fitness something. I don't know. And at the same time, too, like, assuming you do want to get strong, you get stronger by sake of muscularity. That's just basic science. Larger cross-sectional area muscle fiber a muscle group has, the more force it's going to be able to produce. If you really want to get as strong as you possibly can, get as yoked as you possibly can. Right. But doing like the low-end stuff constantly around, maybe you do it for 12 weeks for the hell of it to have fun. Otherwise, like if your 3-rep max, kind of irrelevant. Your 5-rep max, kind of irrelevant. The majority of work I do with clientele, you do sets of 6 all the way up to 50 reps. And it always surprises people that if your 10-rep max goes up a lot, you go from, let's just say, take an example, 225 incline press to 255 incline press, your 1-rep max went up. It did. Because you're more muscular. I can guarantee it. Yeah. Versus just trying to hit a PR every week at 85, 90%, and then your joints just hate you 8 weeks later.
Right. Right. Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, relative to bodybuilding.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, relative to bodybuilding is always going to win for that reason, because having more muscle and having well-developed muscle and having complete muscular development, that, even from a movement standpoint, since movement's like the cool shit right now, you're going to move better the more muscular you are.
That's absolutely true. Jim, you want to jump in?
Yeah, it's just I stopped going for 1-rep maxes as soon as I graduated high school, and my goal was always to build muscle, and that really wasn't the way for me. Even today, and for the majority of my career, man, I've gone to failure anywhere from 8 to 30 reps, and I constantly do that. And it's more about muscle tension and specifically working muscle groups. I couldn't tell you what a 1-rep max is in the last 25 years. I have no idea. And that's a specific, like Alex was saying. I mean, that's a real specific niche of people. If you want to be a world-class deadlifter, it's not about how much muscle you have, and you're not going to look very good either with your shirt off. But you're going to be able to pick up a shitload of weight up from point A to point B, and that's what they do. So, that's the difference. And bodybuilding isn't ever going to go out of style. Not say pro bodybuilders, but the word bodybuilding, meaning you're going to sculpt your physique or adjust proportions of your symmetry. You're going to control your body fat level. I mean, until society changes and we're all blind, I don't know. I don't see how that could ever go out of style.
I agree. I mean, even as they meld us more into transmogrify us into an RFID chip zombot. Yeah, I agree. You'll still be physically stronger. Brian, what are your thoughts?
Well, as usual, I've got a story to go with it. And like recently, I moved. And I'm cleaning up my storage locker, and I got all these books, all these muscle building books. And they're all written by guys anywhere from the 60s up to the 90s. And I noticed that some of them still look really good today, i.e. like Lee Labrada, and some of them barely look like they work out. And the thing that separates the guys who are still doing it and still look great from not is whether or not they got injured. It's always whether or not they got injured. And so to me, like bodybuilding and keeping the reps a little bit higher and training for more of an experience and less loading just lends itself to longevity, and that's what keeps you in the game, and that's what keeps you looking good. And so I mean, yeah, like if that's your goal, if you want to look good, you have no reason ever going below 5 reps unless it's just purely for shits and giggles. But like.
Right. No, I mean, you guys are all right. I mean, again, I'll give Charles Staley comment. His quote. I always defer to his quote. And obviously I wanted Charles on today, but he couldn't make it for the schedule. But the greatest program that you could ever do is the one you're currently not doing.
Yeah.
So the reality is variation. Change for the sake of change is not apt. But for an advanced person like us who has been training 15, 20 years, whatever, then yeah, change is great. And especially as Jim always says, if you're not making progress, if your logbook isn't improving, or whatever, even if it's just a couple reps, if you can't get any more, then yeah, change it up, man. There's always value to doing some form of strength training versus not doing it at all. So, but I'm totally with you guys. I don't see the purpose unless you're Dave Tate. Honestly, there is no purpose of doing what those guys do unless you're training for a specific reason to do that. And if you're in just the general population, there's absolutely no reason you should do it. Power lift, world class, 1 and 2 and 3 type movements. Okay, so we got about 10 minutes here. I'm going to do one more topic and then we'll just finish it up. So what are you guys? So what are your? Why don't we just finish with trends in 2016? What do you guys see? I'll start with you, Alex. What do you guys see is going to become popular and not popular, from a bullshit fitness popularity, but what do you think is something that has value that we'll start seeing more of?
I think you're going to start seeing more of. You're going to see people start entering the market that are, let's say, like doctors or just more like medically qualified professionals that have become interested in the fitness industry. And I see that being a factor where guys kind of, especially Malosky, where there's kind of this idea now where physicians are actually realizing that, hey, I'm pretty educated already. I can educate myself further. I can work with people on their fitness and incorporate biological, physiology education. So I think you're going to see an upgrade of overall content quality within the market itself, just as a whole, where you're not going to be able to get away with being, I don't want to say not get away with being pseudo-intelligent anymore. Since you're going to start having people that are legitimately educated, credentially qualified, and that of itself, it's going to raise even even for you say shit, good, great, wonderful. It's going to raise the tier, so to speak, where everyone's going to have to be a little bit better and a little more informed on their information.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. From a large.
Yeah, no, for sure. Bryan, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think definitely the pendulum is swinging. Last couple of years has been all about, do you even PubMed? It's got to be where are your studies? Show me your studies, and kind of, ridiculing, the bro scientists, and that. And I think the pendulum is swinging back, and there's going to be a lot more people embracing stuff that may not be in a published journal, but that's been validated by just plain old gym science. And I think it's now we even have legitimate scientists are kind of embracing this these methods. So I think as that gets more and more into the mainstream, there's going to be a little bit more love thrown back to the old school bro scientists. So, which I think is a really, really good thing. And on a TRT front, I think it's definitely going to be, and I know I mentioned this earlier, it's going to be a lot more marketing to the cognitive benefits of such, and less, certainly less bedroom. And you can even see it now, I think it's the Pfizer campaign is, my T, it's just a number. My doctor said it's just a number. So they're slowly evolving the message, and I find it really, really interesting. So I think the mental aspect will be the next thing that they try to capitalize on.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't know what happened with Jim's microphone, but okay, there we go. Good. I couldn't unmute him for whatever reason. Yeah, I think it's you, Jim, because I muted you. It's gone. Go ahead and mute one more time, and then just unmute when you come on, because there's some sort of background. Yeah, there we go. So I agree with both of you guys. Obviously, I'm a little biased on the TRT angle. I do see it expanding. I think that there's a lot of international promise with that model. I hope to God that the doctors over there get a little bit more up to speed, because you guys cannot imagine the horror stories I'm hearing on some of these poor bastards. It's ugly. I did go to the the A4M conference in November, at the end of November. Actually, it's in the early part of December in Vegas, and I listened to a lot of the discussions on HRT and TRT, and the knowledge base has definitely dramatically improved. So hopefully that, as it disperses out and gets disseminated amongst more and more physicians, that they figured out. And I can also only hope that the younger kids that are now becoming doctors and leaving their residencies and starting their practices are much more cognizant of how to do it, because I can tell you guys for a fact that almost every guy over 55 who's practicing TRT in North America is fucking clueless. And again, that's not on them individually. That's just on the medicine model or the basic model that was given to them 10 years ago. It was wrong, and it was screwing guys up. So that's my thoughts. So I'll just jump. We'll finish off here. I'm going to go to Alex. So Alex, how can people find you on the web?
Yeah, find me on the web. Just use my full name, Alexander Juan Antonio Cortes. That takes you to both the personal website and the Facebook page.
It's a long fucking name.
And also, Elite FCS as well. That's this AJA_Cortes. Now, I'm generally I'm pretty open in regards to communication channels. So if you want to message me on any one of those avenues, you always can. I don't ever work, even though I do actually work at that facility. I'll talk about that. But obviously, if anyone wants to, consult, talk, or just curiosity, I'll always entertain questions generally. So.
Okay, Jim, you want to unmute? I don't know if you can hear me.
Sure. Yeah. Sorry about the background noise.
No worries.
Yeah. Don't find me. I guess if you really want to work with me, you can go through Jay.
That's not true.
You can find me through Jay.
Jim's on the store, and you can find Jim on Facebook through me. I'm getting Jim more involved. Jim's actually writing a book, and it's a training book, and it's going to be phenomenal. I mean, I will send it out to you guys for your thoughts once we get there. But Jim is a massive resource. But Jim does work with SOAR. I'll talk a little bit more about SOAR when I get to me. But Bryan, how do people find you? Go ahead, Bryan.
Me? Yeah. Well, I've written a number of books as a ghostwriter, but this year I'm finally will be partnering up and actually having my name on the cover. So I mean, it's all just talk right now, but I should have. So I should finally get something in print with my name on it this year. But yeah, you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me. My website is bryankrahn.com. BRYANKRAHN. I know it's a lot shorter than Alex's name, so it should be easier to find. But and I hope to be doing a lot more work with these gentlemen I see on my screen here, because it's there's a lot of bad information in the industry, and these guys consistently put out just excellent information, and so I'll be around here a lot more.
Awesome, man. And just so you guys know, I'm going to be linking to you guys in this in every way. Is there anything you guys want to promote? First, you, Alex, for 2016, some stuff you're doing?
No, I'm good actually. I have nothing to sell, honestly.
That's awesome.
I get paid for stuff, but
exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I love you, man. Bryan, what about you? I know you said you're putting out a book.
Yeah.
Obviously, they know how to find you on the web and stuff like that. Is there anything you are involved with that you want to promote?
Yeah, not really, man. I mean, I just encourage people to read my blog and leave a comment if they like it, and leave a comment if they don't like it. That's even more helpful. But yeah, they'll be here. People will hear from me, and certainly I encourage people to reach out and start a discussion.
Awesome. So yeah, just real quick, I'll just finish then, because I'm right up against it. We got a couple minutes here, but first off, thanks for all you guys coming out. There's a wealth of information on this podcast. I'm going to blow it out. I'll give you guys the link so you can put it on your Twitter feed and of course your sites and wherever else you want to put it out there. But I want you guys to review it and look at it if there's something you don't like. I mean, are you guys all pretty good with this? Do you think there's anything you want taken out of it? Because I can edit it, but I think it's pretty good. You guys okay with it? Yeah. Okay, cool. So real quick, everybody knows Jim and I are involved with SOAR. I think Alex is actually going to be coming to SOAR in early February. It's with Dr. Osborne and I. SOAR stands for Serious Optimal Anti-Aging Regimen, and it's a 3-day. And Bryan, by the way, you're welcome to bring your wife, and you guys can come, of course. I mean, you just got to pay for the airfare and wherever you're staying. But you're welcome to come. It's the 4th through the 6th of February, and then we'll probably be doing 1 or 2 more in 2016, depending on how it works out. That's pretty much it. Jim and I are also doing a quote-unquote TRT mastermind. It's for guys that are already working with physicians, who are not quote-unquote dialed in or as optimized as they would like to be. You can find out more about that at trtmastermind.com. We're not working with a lot of guys. It's a very, very limited group of dudes. You have to qualify. We have to interview you, figure out if you're the right fit, so to speak. So that's about it, guys. I mean, honestly, this was epic. I want to try to do this hopefully quarterly. Try to get Charles on and involved too. But again, thanks for coming out. Happy New Year to you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, man.
Right,
Happy New Year, guys.
I'll send you guys the link. Have a great day, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Thanks.